You saw the teardown. A proper, no-nonsense dismantling of this pure HardRock Mega DNA. This little machine was filthy, abused, and neglected. It was a disgrace to the golden age. But now, we banish the dirt. We scrub off the years of neglect. This isn't some cheap spray and pray job. This is the deep, essential cleaning this ultra retro-grouch machine deserves. The parts are ready, the frame is gleaming, now we begin the rebuild. Alright, time to install the heart of this machine, the bottom bracket. Forget your sealed cartridges, we're dealing with loose ball bearings here. And that means one thing, proper, heavy-duty grease. These cage bearings are what give this bike its soul. We'll seat the drive side bearing first. Make sure they're absolutely coated in that protective, beautiful green goo. Now for the centerpiece, a one-piece crank arm. Slide it through the bottom bracket shell, and it's a simple fit. The non-drive side gets the same treatment. More bearings, more grease. We are building a fortress against rust and grime here, not a delicate Swiss watch. Next is a bearing cup. Remember, this is an adjustable side. Get it threaded on by hand first. No need for heroics yet. Just get it started smooth and straight. The keyed washer goes on next. It helps lock the cup in place and prevents any unwanted spinning. Simple, effective, and completely idiot-proof. And finally, the lock nut. This is where the magic happens. Tighten the cup until the crank has no side-to-side play, but still spins freely. Then, tighten the lock nut hard against the keyed washer to set your adjustment. Don't be afraid to give it a proper grunt it deserves. Now, we mount the jewel of the drivetrain first, the Suntour XC derailleur. This thing is built like a tank. It's proper metal, and it attaches directly to the dropout with a single, simple bolt. Locked in, and make sure that spring tension is properly seated. With the derailleur in place, we can drop the wheel into the frame. Line up the cassette, in this case the freewheel, with the derailleur chain path and slide the axle right into the dropout slots. Now for this glorious piece of over-engineering, the derailleur guard. This isn't going to protect against tree roots and rocks on the trail. This is to protect against the real enemy, laying the bike down hard on the ground, trying to pedal through a tangled mess of sticks, or leaning it against a concrete wall. That's it. Simple, sturdy, and ready for work. The derailleur is locked in, protected by its steel cage, and waiting patiently for the abuse of the next little retro-grouch who is lucky enough to get this ride. The drivetrain is nothing without its link, the chain. We've stripped the grime off the original piece. It doesn't need replacing, it just needs a proper cleaning and lubrication. This is about restoration, not replacement. Now to put the snake back through the garden. We'll first slide it around the chain ring up front. Then we run it over the freewheel, around the rear derailleur's pulleys, making sure that it hits the proper path. The key here is getting the sizing right, but since it's original chain, it's just a matter of connecting the ends. We'll use a proper tool and press that pin back into place. Once connected, we need to make sure that the newly reattached link isn't stiff. A little wiggle and a flex is all it takes. And now, the drivetrain is unified. Everything is clean, everything is moving. That's the feeling of a job done right. Alright, we start by ensuring longevity. A proper thick layer of waterproof grease goes into both lower and upper cups. We are building a fortress against moisture and grit. Now for the bearings. We pack these cage bearings until they are absolutely saturated with grease. No skimping. With the bearings now floating nicely in their respective cups, we take the fork, crown race and all, and slide the steerer tube up through the head tube. The crown race will need to engage with those lower bearings we just seated. Next, we thread on the adjustable top bearing race. Get it started by hand and screw it down until it just touches the upper bearings. Now tighten the race until there is zero play, but it still spins freely. Any spacers go on next. They manage stack height and ensure the lock nut has purchase. Finally, the lock nut. Screw it down nice and tight. Make sure the top race hasn't moved much and there is no play or binding in the bearings. We've got the headset tuned perfectly, so now we install the controls. This is a whole unit, stem and handlebars, just as they were removed. This quill stem uses the old-fashioned wedge system, simple, strong, and reliable. The freshly greased stem slides directly into the steerer tube. We're going straight past the lock nut and into the head tube. Make sure to align the handlebars roughly straight with the fork. With the alignment set, we give the main bolt its final definitive torque. That wedge is now crushing inside the steerer tube, locking the stem in place like a proper anchor. Controls demand a fresh connection. We're installing a new shift cable. The old one was trash, a recipe for poor shifting. This new cable is friction-free. The cable seats cleanly in the thumb shifter. No complicated routing here. In this side and then out the other. Next we feed it through the housing and route it along the frame towards the rear of the bike. Now at the rear of the bike, we thread the cable through one last piece of housing and then route the cable through the rear derailleur. Next, we route the cable through the anchor bolt and tighten everything down. After a bit of adjustment, the bike is shifting as good as new. Now it's time for the cantilever brakes. We start by properly preparing the anchor points, the brake bosses. Apply a thin coating of grease to both right and left bosses. This ensures smooth movement and prevents rust from seizing these arms to the frame. Now we mount the caliper arms. Right arm slides on, followed by its mounting bolt. Then the left arm and its bolt. With the brake arms mounted, it's time for the cable system. We run a fresh cable and cable housing just like with the shifter. This cable must be clean, smooth, and friction-free to give us reliable stops. The cable arrives at the rear. We install the mounting cable end into the straddle cable yoke. This setup is the mechanical genius of the cantilever brake. Pull up to squeeze the arms in, clamp the mount cable down tight. Pull the lever, success. This is the difference between stopping and merely just slowing down. It's now time for the front cantilever brakes. Just like the rear, we start by properly prepping the anchor points, the brake bosses. We apply a thin coat of grease to both the right and left bosses. Now we mount the caliper arms. Right arm slides on, followed by its mounting bolt. Then the left arm and its bolt. With the brake arms mounted, it's time for the cable system. We run a fresh cable and cable housing just like with the shifter. This cable must be clean, smooth, and friction-free to give us reliable stops. Now we route everything through the cable stop in the stem down towards the front wheel. Once there, we attach the cable to the straddle cable yoke. This part can sometimes be frustrating. Getting the tension just right is a game of cat and mouse, and sometimes the mouse wins, sometimes it doesn't. Now with the wheel in, we adjust the yoke, making sure it's properly aligned. Now, the last thing to do is a quick test of the brakes. A few presses of the brake lever, spinning the wheel, pressing it again, and there we go, stopping power. You're probably asking why I'm putting this much effort into a 20-inch kid's bike. The answer is simple. This Specialized HardRock Mega is a purest expression of the Retro-grouch ethos. It's steel, it has proper components, and it was built to last, not to be disposable. It deserves this restoration. There it is. The baby Retro-grouch machine is finished. If you enjoyed this restoration process, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe for more Retro-grouch content.